Hi, Trudy Beerman here, and today we're going to look at Get Your Cash Flow Mojo. Get Your Cash Flow Mojo. Now, I'm going to admit some of you have already stumbled onto this strategy out of necessity. Necessity is the mother of invention, and when you just don't have enough money to go around, you start paying the guys who are screaming the loudest or the bill that is the most urgent, and so you may have stumbled into this strategy without realizing it, but if you have to use it, it is much better to do it deliberately and strategically. So that's what we're going to look at today, getting your cash flow mojo. But before I go any further, I really want to say that I'm not endorsing this strategy per se. It's not the ideal. The ideal is that you're spending last month's money this month. So you're not chasing paycheck to paycheck. You have money from last month that's paying this month's bills and so forth. That is the ideal. Also, you're living within or below your means. And again, guys, you will not begin to see wealth till you have that first extra dollar after all expenses are paid. And of course, you're working to delete your debt. Those are the ideals. However, like I said, there are just some situations that until, if you're gonna start to get your financial sea legs, you may need to start here. And you really want to, if you're gonna do that, you want to be strategic and deliberate about it. So let's look at getting your cash flow mojo going. Now, to do that, we need to make some assumptions. Okay, so our case study is going to be a single female with no kids, a single female with no kids. She has an income of $3,000 a month, and she has some debt, but she doesn't want to add any new debt. This is important to remember. So here are her expenses: mortgage, utilities, groceries, car notes, insurance, credit cards, cell phone, gas, hair, nails, entertainment. Now, we're not going to get into the conversation this time around about where she could cut or delete altogether. That's not the conversation we're going to have today. But what I want you to note is that her total monthly expenses is $3,210. Entertainment, nails. We're not going to get into this conversation. The fact is, this is her reality. Now, where are the $210 coming from, guys? That's coming from debt. This is where she's swiping the credit card or borrowing from mom or whatever, because she makes 3,000, she's spending 3,210. That's why she has debt. But we're going to say that she's decided right now that she wants to change her financial picture. And so she needs to work within her parameters, and she's not going to add any new debt. So let's take a look at her situation. So before using the cash flow mojo strategy, this was what her financial calendar looked like. The mortgage was due on the 1st, the utilities were due on the 9th, and these are the due dates and the amount that is expected. So if we look at this financial calendar, if she gets paid every other week $1,500, right away, I did the math for you. If she gets paid here, she gets, the mortgage is due on this date. Now, guys, we all know that even if the mortgage is due on the 1st, it's not going to be, if you pay it a few days later, it's usually not a big deal. There's usually a grace period, especially on a mortgage. Usually it can go up to the 13th or 15th in some cases. So she gets paid here, and I've done all the math. If she paid everything that was due as per this financial calendar, by the time she gets a day before payday, she's already minus $900. This is just going by this financial calendar. Now, this is craziness. So let's say she stumbled onto the cash flow mojo strategy, and keeping the exact same financial picture, none of the amounts are changing. We're just moving things around. No, she has to get to work, so she needs to pay for gas the first of the week. And we're going to say she had cash from the previous month, or this, whatever. She's got to get to work. So she gets to work this week. She gets paid on this day. We all know, and the reason why this is in a different color is to show that we shifted this around. So we all know that if she pays her mortgage a few days later, it's not going to be a big deal. So this is being very deliberate now. She deliberately decided to pay the mortgage on this day. Now, the groceries has not changed. Her grocery is, she's spending $500 a month on groceries, and it's split up over 125 a week. However, based on the cash flow mojo, she's still spending that, but she's going to kind of move the money around a little bit now. She's only going to spend 75 here, 75 here, but she bumps it up here and she bumps it up here. So she's still spending the same amount, but we're using the cash flow mojo strategy and moving some things around. So now she pays her mortgage here, and the utilities, which were originally due on the 9th of $300, here we go. She pays half here and half there. Now, again, guys, you know, it's very rare that unless you're way behind, we're not assuming she's carrying, you know, any, she's been using debt to carry herself to this point. So she's been on target. So if she now pays utility bill a few days later, there are very few utility companies that if she's not behind in the past, that they're going to cut her off for this. So she's deliberately split the bill in two. She paid some here and she paid some here, but it's still the same $300. Usually a cell phone has to be paid on time. They're usually not as generous. So she keeps doing that. Now here's what, with the same money, same requirements, now she's carrying forward. She's paid all this stuff and she has $15 left in her wallet when she approaches the next payday. So here she keeps going again, and the insurance is still the 500, but she's, instead of paying it on the 16th, she called them and said, hey, I'm going to pay you on the 23rd. So she did that, and she keeps going forward. Now she's carrying $140 into the next month. Now her car note was due on the 30th, which is the end of the month. Her car note's due on the 30th, but she decided, okay, we're going to move this car note a few days later. So she hasn't actually paid it here, but it was due here. So now she's paying the car note over here a couple days later, right? Just about a week later. So now she's carrying forward $140 from this month into the new month. Now here is the next piece of the cash flow mojo. And you have to really keep good notes for all this. She's decided not to pay her mortgage right at this point in time. Again, you know, this is what, guys, if you're renting, this is not a strategy you can probably do, because the landlords are not usually as generous, but the banks have a lot more restrictions on them about kicking you out. So this is a strategy that's a little bit more available to people who own their home. So she's decided not to pay the mortgage right now, and that $900 she would have paid, she decided to take $500 of it and pay off credit card one. So here we go. She had 3 credit cards, and these were her minimums, but the balance, the smallest balance she was carrying on one of them was $500. She decided to knock that out, and she took the mortgage payment, which she's still going to pay. She's just delaying it. She paid off credit card one. So now she's carrying $140 over into this payday. She now has $1,640 available to move forward. She pays her car note a few days later, like we discussed. She pays utilities on the due date this time around. So remember, the utilities were due on the 9th before. She paid them a little late this month, but she's paid them on time in this month. Cell phones due on the 10th as usual. She's keeping up with her grocery payments as usual. Now she carries $455. Remember, she hasn't paid the mortgage here, but she hasn't lost all that money. She's carrying forward $455 into the next payday, which makes her have $1,955 available. She is still paying the $165 to her credit card, even though she's paid off credit card number one. Why? Because she's looking to pay down and get rid of the other credit cards. So she's still taking that payment she would have normally made, even though credit card one is paid off, and she's still paying it into the other credit cards. So now she's got $1,955 moving through the rest of this month, and she pays all the bills. Insurance is just paid a few days later. The car note was due on the 30th. She pays that, and now she's moving forward into the next payday with $590 additional dollars. Remember, this $455 came here. She spent that up, and now she's got $590 coming forward to the end of the month. Now she's got $2,090 available moving to the next month. So she's carrying forward that $2,090 into the next month. And here it is now. Remember that mortgage that she didn't pay? She was now 1 month behind. Look at what she's doing here. This is the first business day of the month. She pays the $900, which is what's in the back, and $450 of the current month. I put a half made just to remind myself. So 450. So she's paid, she's no longer in the back, and she's paid half of the current month's mortgage. And going forward into this month, she's now carrying forward $30. So she's paid all this. She has $30 left in her wallet till the next payday. So she now has $1,530 available. And moving forward, she's paying all this stuff. The utilities here, now the utilities were due on the 10th, as in the original calendar. Okay. Utilities were $300 due on the 9th. And here in this case, she's paid 200 of the 300, and she split and paid the other 100 here. This is being very deliberate, very strategic with her cash flow mojo. And now we get to the next payday with $280 available, carrying her to now having $1,780 available. She pays the car note, pays all this stuff, and guess what? Now she still has half of the last month and the mortgage. At this point, she's able to pay that all up. And we could keep going forward with this, but this is just to give you an idea. When you are very deliberate and strategic about using the cash flow mojo strategy, you can stay within your income bracket and move the money around strategically, begin to delete your debt, still meet all your requirements. Maybe you're pushing things a few days here or there. You guys know what the tolerance level is of your vendors. You already know. Okay, probably if you're in debt, you've been playing this game for a while. You know who you can drag for a month or two, who will absolutely cut you off if you're not on time. You know this. But ideally, this is not the ideal. It is just a strategy to get your sea legs going, and then we'll talk about other strategies to get you back towards the ideal. So look out for other videos on that. But this was just to introduce the cash flow mojo to you. I hope this has been helpful. And if this is something you need to do, please, by all means, get out your calendar, map things out, and start to move things around, and you will be on your way to getting your mojo, your cash flow mojo on, and moving yourself back towards the financial ideal. All right, guys, thank you so much, and we will talk in another training.